What was the most important details in the topic of international financing law in the bank collections? So first of all, you have always to identify the goals of the parties, of the seller, of the buyers, and of the banks. You have to set the terms, you have to negotiate the conditions of responsibilities and price accordingly, right? And you have to delineate contract to manage this risk. And you have to use samples, make sure that the language reflects all your agreement, and you have to inspect the LOC for problems. And the book says 60 to 80% have errors. And of course, we have the strict rules, the rule of strict compliance. So the chapter summaries is focused on these things. So what is the bill of exchange? This is an international draft, and it's a specialized type of negotiable instrument commonly used to expedite foreign money payments in many types of international transactions. You know, the bill of exchange, I show you the picture again. So the bill of exchange, that is here, the draft was here from the issuing bank to the advising bank on the side of the seller. The seller wants the money, so this bank has to collect the money from the buyer, but we make this through the issuing bank, and the issuing bank is doing this with a draft, and the draft says, yes, the issuing bank will pay money to the confirming bank so that the confirming bank can handle then the money to the account of the salary of the seller. Good. The second thing was what is so good if you have this bill of exchange or international draft. So the most important thing is the negotiability. So the commercial and financing use of a draft is that it deals as a substitute for money. And when a draft is negotiated into a holder in due course, that party takes it free from most disputes that might arise between the drawer and the drawee, so the original parties to the underlying transaction, right? So the underlying transaction, this is here the buyer and seller, and yeah, maybe they have a dispute here about the goods, if there were some mistakes, something not correct, but the bank are not interested in this, so the draft separates the sales contract to this Ebene, I would say in Germany, to this part here to this relation, right, between bank. Good. And so the protection comes from this, that the holder in due course allows banks and other parties to purchase or accept drafts without fear of becoming embroiled in the litigation of the original contract for which the draft was drawn. Okay, so a draft that may be paid upon presentation or demand is known as a side draft because it's payable on site. That means here, if the bank gets here the draft from the issuing bank, then they can pay the money to the seller. And the bank can never say, the issuing bank can never say, oh, there was something wrong with the goods. No, if the issuing bank, if they control all the documents, then they will give the money to the seller. Of course, the issuing bank has this letter of credit from the buyer, so they will get the money back from the buyer due to the letter of credit. Good. Yeah. Okay. Bank and other financial institutions, they have, of course, a range of financing packages for international trade, right? So, for example, they have sometimes this draft due at a future date, so they don't have to pay now. You have to pay the money in 2 months or 3 months when the ships are, when the goods are then at the destination. A banker's acceptance is a negotiable instrument and a short-term financing device widely used to finance international sales as well as domestic, of course. So this is the bank acceptance. Then we have the documented letter of credit. Letter of credit and acceptance is a little bit similar, but the letter of credit is this is the undertaking of a bank issued in accordance with the instruction of the customer, addressed to or in favor of the beneficiary, wherein the bank promises to pay a certain sum of money. Right? This is you can also use this, and the laws that are applicable on these are the UCP, the Uniform Custom and Practice for Documentary Credits. And yeah, let's talk a little bit again about the letter of credit, because the UCP we talked about already, it's from the International Chamber of Commerce, and today we have already an online, all the online things are also in there now. Okay, the letter of credit is a separate transaction and independent from the underlying sales contract on which it was based. So the banker's deals and documents are not in goods, so they are not concerned with the quality or condition of goods, right? So the letter of credit, just to make sure that you know where we are, here it's here, the buyer, and here B, the sales contract. In the sales contract, there it says, oh, we need a letter of credit, and then the buyer goes to his bank, and here the B is application for LC, and then this letter of credit is forwarded to the bank here, so the bank knows, okay, we will get the money, and the seller knows it as well, right? And all the other documents. So this is about to give this a security that the money will be paid when in a special time, or so, and it's independent from the goods. So we have here the buyer's application for a credit form, and this is a special contract, Darlehensvertrag, Kreditvertrag, between the buyer and the issuing bank. And you give the credits are transmitted to the beneficiary through an advising bank, yeah, we know this, and or through a confirming bank in the case of a confirmed letter of credit, right? So yeah, I show you already. So this is the issuing bank, and this advising or confirming bank. So the letter of credit goes here this way. Okay, so then the seller must make a complying presentation to the nominated bank within the time limits of the credit and according to the terms of the credit and the provisions of the UCP and standard banking practice, right? So they have to say, okay, yeah, we have shipped all these things, and he gives them the documents, and the banks are looking for discrepancies, and if there are some discrepancies, then they will reject and hold for the buyer's instruction or return to the seller, right? So then the documents, they hold it then, and then give it then, yeah, they just hold it in their house. What is a discrepancy? It exists if the seller's document on their face do not conform to the terms of the letter of credit. So the seller's document, it says all about the shipped goods and the time and the destination and the amount and the money. And this must be written in the letter of credit, because the letter of credit, it's here. So in the sales contract, they have the letter of credit, and they write a letter of credit, and they apply for a letter of credit, and this is here confirmed to the sales contract. And so we have also here to check on this side if there are any discrepancies. The description of goods in the commercial invoice must be corresponding exactly to that in the credit, and the documents are usually interpreted according to the strict compliance rules. Everything must be perfect. And sometimes the courts have the power to enjoin banks from honoring documents that are fraudulent or where there was a fraud in the transaction. Because if the issuing bank is giving the draft or the bill of exchange to the other bank, and then here to this, so the beneficiary can go to all other banks and they can sell the bill of exchange. So it's like money, and everybody can then go to the issuing bank and can say, I get the money now, right? It's like a bill, right? Like of notes. So but if there is a fraud, the courts can say, no, banks, you should not give them the bill of exchange. Yeah, then we have some confirmed letter of credits. They have the additional obligation of the second bank, usually in the seller's country, to honor a complying presentation. And this is the next best alternative to receiving cash in advance for an international sale. And of course, we have other accreditives and other letter of credits. For example, standby letter is one in which the issuer is obligated to pay a beneficiary upon the presentation of documents. So upon. So that is very important. Upon to pay upon the presentation documents indicating a default by the account party, right? And in the payment of a debt, for example, or the performance of an application, right? Good. So, yeah, thank you for your attention. In the next chapter, we will look in the chapter 18 about the legal environment of foreign direct investment. And this has also to do with financing law. Thank you for your attention.